Today on the couch, we're covering why being good with AI doesn't mean you have good judgment, whether AI is making work easier or just making people more mentally tired, and what actually happens when a tool gets faster, but the human gets more drained. So here's what's happening. There's a growing conversation that's going around. It's not necessarily a single headline, but between operators, executive circles, and it's becoming a pattern about the fact that AI has gotten good in terms of fast output. It can write, draft notes, generate the posts. It does all of that. But what is consistently missing is knowing what's off. And that's really risky is that AI is tone deaf.
So do you agree with that or disagree with that?
I do agree with it to the point that the output has gotten better, it's faster, but it still misses the context sometimes. And it's like, as the creator, I think those misses are invisible to you because you're too close to it occasionally.
Mm.
Because the output, again, it doesn't look bad, but sometimes it's missing some of those contextual elements that drive a point home. 'Cause you don't miss it because it's not necessarily obvious that it's wrong, it's, like, subtly wrong.
All right. So I think people are asking for too much. Like that's my perspective. I think the conversation is painting AI to be the bad guy. When I actually don't think AI is the bad guy. I think it is the creators and the operators
Mm,
who have to take some responsibility in this. I mean, we've had previous episodes where we talked about a part of your job as a user of AI is providing it with enough context and giving those good examples and making sure it has what it needs. I kind of think that the introduction of AI is making people lazy. Because if you had what is it called? An administrative assistant and you wanted her to pull together a brief for you, I don't know if you would just say, hey, I need a brief for my 2 o'clock meeting. Write it. But for some reason that's what people are doing with AI and then they're mad at AI because what they're getting back is half baked,
that's a great example, but using that same example to that assistant, when your assistant gave you the report back, if the information you initially gave her, if she had to make assumptions, she was maybe unclear of your direction, she would say, "Hey, Jerry, here's the briefing. There's some things that I was unclear about. These are
Mm.
outlined. Do a double check of those." And so AI doesn't always do that. It just delivers a product to you and gives it to you with no rebuttal, no, or a
Okay.
reminder to really double check. I mean, yes, we all see the very small writing at the very end, but as you said, we've gotten really lazy that we just take it at face value versus with that assistant, assistant would say, double check the numbers
Okay, so
ingrained in us.
yeah, couple things. Yes, AI does assume it is correct.
Yes.
It assumes it's correct. But lately with Claude, like Claude has been after it delivers, it's starting to ask now, is this what you were thinking? Like asking for feedback is how I take it that, Claude is now asking for feedback after it delivers something as opposed to maybe that's ChatGPT that's just giving answers and assuming it's met your thoughts.
I mean, I think it's part of it is the tool, how much you work with it, how much context you've given it. Claude does have, I mean, Claude overall, I think, just does a better job with understanding context to some degree. So it naturally has that built-in mechanism to ask questions. But I think what we need to be reminded of is that we need to still question AI.
Yeah.
And we have gotten lazy. We have gotten used to the quick output. Judgment is really, we're getting to a point where a judgment is knowing what good output looks like versus just knowing what a good prompt is.
That's a good point, and that kinda brings me to my next statement is that I think AI is giving average responses, right? So it is focused on shortening the time between, I have a need, I have a deliverable to, "Oh, here is a first draft." And I think that first draft should be looked at like a first draft, but for some reason, because it's coming from AI, people
Mm.
think this is it. I'm just gonna copy paste and we're done. And I think what I really think is happening is that the people who are actually using AI regularly all of the time, they are not average people. Like, to be 100% honest with you, I think AI is giving average responses. And so when the above average person looks at the response and they're like, come on, you could do better than that. Basically, is what you're saying.
Mhm.
Like, you can do better than that. I think there will always be some sort of disconnect.
Yeah, I agree. I think if we move away from just wanting fast output and we take that first iteration and we start to challenge AI and go back and forth, it may take the fifth iteration before you land where you need to be. I think the trouble is that that first iteration is packaged well, and so people miss that. Someone gave the
Mm,
example. I heard the example of it's like going to a really, five-star restaurant. You've got a great chef. They plate the meals really well. So when the presentation comes out, you don't question it, but the chef mixed the salt with the sugar. You don't really,
okay.
from just a plating perspective, it looks good. It's not until you deliver it over to the end user, your client, that it's questionable. That's nuance about things being wrong. When you don't double check them, you miss them.
Yeah, I mean, I guess what we're doubling down on is that statement that AI delivers at the bottom of the text box that says AI can make mistakes. Please double check my work. It's like you actually have to do that. Basically, it's like and you can't just take the pretty packaging and take it for face value. That I mean, because sometimes you get output back and it is completely wrong. Like, that is not even what I asked. That is not what I said. So I I'm pushing back on the fact that this is the AI issue. I really think it's a user operator issue.
Okay. So going in that parallel conversation talking about users. So another topic that has been swirling is related to people are talking openly about the fatigue that comes from using too many tools, too many updates, too much context switching, having to do multiple iteration and pressure to constantly keep up just to stay relevant.
I think you use more tools than me, honestly. How do you manage the
Um, I
burnout?
so the burnout, I think there is 2 components. You wanna stay relevant. There's a platform update every day, every week, and so I think you need to balance trying something as need to balance trying something just to see if it has value versus adding it to your work stack. I think that's a difference. But adding every new tool to your work stack, I don't agree with that. And you're absolutely right. I mean, I'm guilty as charged. I lost a whole day just the other day with the Claude design release. So guilty as charged, but it's not something that I'm yet ready to again add to my work stack. I'll continue to use other tools for right now. But I think that there's this implicit message that occurs when a new platform update. If you're not using this, you're behind or you're missing out. And so people feel overwhelmed.
And I completely ignore all of that. I have not clicked on Claude Design, none of it, because I haven't found a reason to, and I think I need to find a quick way to determine, is this a new feature that's valuable to me? And usually that doesn't happen until I have an actual project and I'm like, oh, there was this new product. Maybe I can try that. But I'm not a try everything that comes out type of person. And I honestly think the real reason why I think I don't just try stuff is because I'm big on like focus and reduction of noise. And I know some stuff is just noise. Like, there may not be any value to trying the updated tool. And I just feel like it's just gonna take me away from, the focus, the thing that I'm already focused on, and give another opinion. And we were talking the other day and you were saying how you were using multiple tools to help you come up with an idea. And I kind of think that that sometimes makes it harder because now instead of just battling your own opinions, now you got 3 other very strongly minded uh, h- robot humans who are like making you question yourself and should we do this? And they all have different directions they want to go. And so sometimes I'm like, the best path is just the straightest path. And let me just keep going where I know, is in the direction I'm trying to go versus allowing all these other tools to pull me in other directions. Because, like, you can use Lovable for websites. Now you can use Claude Design for websites. You can use, you know what I mean? It's like, to your point, you can't lose a day trying to figure out what's the best tool when you could have just built the thing.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and you make a great point. You're really good about being what I would call your productivity strategy, like
I'm
being
ruthless.
yes, and being
I'm
very
ruthless.
focused, and because of that, you've been able to really lean in to the tools that you use. When we
Mhm.
say getting the goodie out of the good, you have gone all in with ChatGPT. Like, it is your right hand. You've gone into the tools that you've used in
In
terms
in
of
in in an aspect,
yes,
they have their place.
they have their place,
They
but
have
you and yes, they have their place, and you've done a great job of determining which tool has its place. Where when I reached out to you the other
mm,
day and I told you I was kind of bouncing around, I think what you're saying is like, why are you asking
right,
this tool about this task? That's not even their role.
right.
Why are you asking the janitor about
About the lunch
about the
today.
lunch menu? Like,
Right.
that's not his area of expertise, and so I get because what happens is I'm on this treadmill where you've been, what I would say, zeroed in your productivity, you have a strategy, and I'm on the hamster wheel of platforms.
Yeah, I mean, that's whole nother topic that we may want to go down that path. But I'm using ChatGPT for strategy, and then I'm using Claude for creative first drafts, I'll call it. And then what else am I using? I use Perplexity when I know I want it to scour the internet and
Mhm.
find something like what are the trends, what's going on. And so it's like I very rarely go outside of those lines. Sometimes I'll do a gut check. I'll take the strategy from ChatGPT and I'll pop over to Claude and I'll say, how are we going to produce this creatively? And you'll know sometimes Claude will say, this is spot on. Let me just whip it up. But sometimes they have a little bit of an opinion, but that's not me going to Claude asking the exact same question, asking for a duplicate.
Mm.
And then there's this manual labor that you're taking on trying to compare them. And I'm like, I'm not going to take on that extra labor. It's like, here's my strategy, critique it and move forward. So I do think that might lead to the burnout, actually.
Oh, certainly. And I think what you're saying here and what the reader or what the listener should take away with is, pick 3 tools, maybe 5 depending on how broad your work is, but pick 3 tools. It's not more AI, it's more of a narrow stack and
Yeah.
really but find the tools that work for you and go all into to those tools.
Yeah, I think instead of bopping around between the newest shiny object, it's what tools do you have at your disposable? What tools do you have at your disposal? Who are you already paying on a monthly basis? Right? Who are you already paying? What do they do really well for you? And like give them a job and don't deter from that job. I think that's the key. It's like stop trying to, like you said, stop make turning the janitor into the lunch lady. Keep each tool focused. And when you're not trying to translate between the tools, I mean, I think that's unnecessary burnout. But I think another thing that can lead to burnout or can lead to people feeling burnt out when using AI. AI is taking us from being individual contributors and doing to
Mhm.
more of a supervisory role. And if you've ever been a leader in a company, if you've ever had direct reports, you know how much more draining that is. And I feel like that may be why people feel burnt out because if you've never had that experience of managing people or having a team, now all of a sudden you have a team with AI. And so AI is giving you outputs and now you're having to supervise and go back and forth. And I kind of think that's a major side effect of AI being introduced that people, didn't really anticipate.
Yeah, I think that that's great feedback. Overall, the pick 3 tools that have actually changed your work, figure out, narrow it down to the ones you'd miss if they went away, and then everything else is noise otherwise.
Yeah, and maybe you have like a tinker time. Like I actually have on Fridays, I have like an hour and a half where it's just tinker time. So for me, that's when I would say everybody's talking about this Claude design. Let me watch a quick YouTube video. Let me tinker around a little bit. That way it hasn't cut into my actual work time. I'm not trying to get a deliverable out and learn the new tool at the same time.
That's great feedback. Speaking okay, just kinda switching gears and talking about what you've been working on in the lab or tinkering.
That was a good TF. This week I worked on nothing in the lab because I lost access to everything. My Mac Mini is basically dormant. I'm kind of embarrassed to say why. It's so embarrassing.
Well, this is a small circle.
We have an AI podcast, and I got locked out of all of my AI, but I will be back up and running next week. But there was a lesson. There's always a lesson in the loss. None of my automation was working. And so I was kind of scrambling a little bit, because you can create agents so quickly and they're up and running in minutes. I was just moving on to the next agent. Like I just kept moving on to the next task, next task, next task. I did not have a backup plan. The backup plan is going back to doing it manually. And when I tell you I didn't want to do anything manually this week, because I mean, once your agent is like knocking the, I'm like, I'm not doing that
Right,
manually.
right.
Even though it's something you used to do for ages, it's like, I'm not doing that. So I actually did nothing. And I'm like, oh, when my agent kicks back up, she's going to have a lot of work to do. The lesson for me is that I need to build in backup plans. Like, if there are weeks where I lose access to my machine, how am I going to still get my work done? Like, that was a major takeaway. So, I'll be coming up with backup plans. I'll be coming up with outage plans. And hopefully, I won't lose another week of productivity.
Yes. So very interesting. So for me in the lab this week, you're talking about agents, and I know you've gone all in and you've built several agents. So I'm still catching up. I've, got my feet wet. One agent that I've been wanting to work on and put together is just a personal AI agent to kind of monitor emails and my overall calendar. And that's been something that I just haven't had time. But probably about a month ago, I signed up for Google Labs CC Assistant that's just native to Gmail. So for the last month, as I was sitting down thinking about building out, a personal using, I was going to look at Claude Cowork to build out a personal AI agent. When I was putting together my thoughts and what I needed, I really looked at what Google's CC is already doing. And for
Mm,
me right now, it meets the need. When we talk about simplicity to set up, it's just a matter of signing up. You do have to be on a pro plan. But what it's doing is every morning it's sending me a daily brief. So it's looking at my email, it's looking at my calendar. It's letting me know in the morning what's due for that day. It's even giving me an estimate of how much time that a particular
mm,
task should take. So, for instance, there's a field trip due on Friday. It needs to be signed by Tuesday. And what's really great is that it's able to resurface the permission slip by just clicking the link. So I don't actually have to go back. You have to be signed up for,
Gemini Pro Plan or like
yeah,
Gmail.
Google's Pro plan or Gemini's Pro plan.
Okay.
So you have to be on Google's Pro plan. So from that context, it's not necessarily free. But if you're already fully into Google's ecosystem, it's great in that regard. And it's reading your email. So it's letting you know for that week, that day. Let's say you have bills coming to your statements coming to your email. It's able to resurface that, your MX this month. The minimum is, what that minimum is due, what the date is. In addition to that, if you have meeting notes, that are coming into your email. So, for instance, our weekly sync, it's taking the Zoom recap and then resurfacing things that we discussed. So that I need to, submit content ideas by Tuesday. All of that is done there with no additional work. And a great thing is if for some reason CC misinterprets something, you just respond back to it and let it know. For instance, my Bank of America is on auto pay. I don't need an update I don't need a weekly or monthly update for that bill notice. And so she'll stop emailing you and including that in your daily brief.
Is it a side text chat? Is it like a text bot
No, it
or
comes in your email every morning in your email.
so an email from CC?
From CC
Okay,
every day
okay, okay, so you
with
can go back and forth with her.
you can go back and forth, and if there's any assumptions that she's making that's incorrectly. For instance, we had attended a kid's birthday party, and so CC captured the birthday, and so it thought that that child was my child, so I emailed it back to say,
Mm.
"No, that was only a friend. You can not count them as my child." So ease of use, again, super simple. You just sign up for it. For me, it's been a game changer. So, yeah, for me, it's been a game changer. Will I still take the time to put something together and Claude Code work? Maybe or maybe not. But
Mhm.
again, I think it goes back to what you were saying earlier. If I feel like I'm missing something, maybe I will. But for now, this works. It's meeting my needs every day in my inbox. I have a list of all of my appointments, everything that's on my calendar, I get in my debrief every morning from CC.
We got a letter that says, I keep hearing people talk about Claude like it's the serious person tool now, but I genuinely prefer ChatGPT and feel faster in it. Do I actually need to switch to stay current, or is this just internet pressure making people feel behind? What do you think?
Ooh. Well, short answer, no, you don't need to switch. I think for me, speed matters. If you feel faster in ChatGPT, that's a real signal. That's not just subjective preference to dismiss. And for me, speed matters. If you're able to accomplish more, if you've built out your custom instructions and ChatGPT gets you, I think that that's where I think you should continue to use that if you wanna try out Claude, but don't feel pressure to move.
Yeah, I don't think you should let the internet pressure you into jumping on shiny things. I think about your workflow with ChatGPT. Are there any friction points? If there are friction points, there may be another AI tool that can get you there faster or easier. But until you have the time to spend, to research that, do not just jump over to Claude or wherever
Mhm.
thinking that it's going to be better because there's uptick time. And you did a demo recently on how to convert everything from ChatGPT over to Claude, but it's like, don't think you're gonna jump into a new tool and not have that initial startup time built in. So I say do what works for you.
Yeah, I think 'cause, neither tool wins at everything.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I could see where the reader has that concern. I mean, right now the narrative is that ChatGPT is for beginners or for
Mm.
people who haven't caught up. And that's not and Claude's not a professional requirement. Claude does do things better.
I think Claude is more complex.
Mm.
And I think that's what people need. They need that Claude has more built-in capability that is easier to get to. ChatGPT has some of the same capabilities, but it's not as user friendly. And so I think people who don't have time for the clunkiness of ChatGPT, though those are the serious people you're talking about that have converted over to Claude. But I would love to see some numbers. Like there's this huge campaign about dropping ChatGPT. Like how many people are actually doing it?
Yeah, I mean, I think ChatGPT is like a Swiss Army knife. It is something that you want to right now, you want to keep in your
Yeah.
back pocket. I mean, it is a jack of all trades at a minimum. I think for anyone who is on the fence and hasn't, really gone all in any platform before you spend time, you know, bouncing around on that treadmill where you're putting the same prompt into 5 different platforms and then having to share the responses, the
Mhm.
rebuttals. across all of those other platforms to keep the conversation going. Take your time and just, continue to build out whatever that platform is. Make sure that it understands, it has your custom instructions, it has all the context that it needs. And then if you do see a gap, again, if you have opportunity to look elsewhere, don't let social media dictate which tool is best for you.
Yeah, I do you.
All right. So with that, use what works. Don't switch what isn't broken because the internet made you feel behind. That's the answer. So switching gears into our love it or leave it section. Looking at AI browser extensions that read, summarize, and answer as you move around. So this is AI layered on top of your browser. So it's explaining pages, comparing options, summarizing articles, essentially guiding decision in real time. What are your thoughts there?
I had two different lanes of thought there. For work, I love it. If you are working in an environment where you're doing a lot of research and that becomes an add-on to helping you do the research faster, I love it. But at home, I think it's just over influence. We've been talking a lot about not being influenced by the internet, not allowing competing AI to, take you down a direction you may not have wanted to go down for my personal use, because I still wanna maintain my level of judgment, my level of taste, and I do think there is a level of over AI.
Well, I would say we were spot on. So here I was split. Research and comparison, as you just stated, hands down, I love it. But for me, when I still want to analyze things, for me, it's a leave it. I don't necessarily always need bullets. I want to actually dive into something and make my own judgment there. So we're in agreement. The next is AI gated calendars that auto decline in low value meetings. So tools like Reclaim acting as an AI bouncer, protecting your focus time by deciding which invites deserve access to you.
I love it. I'm a habitual decliner. But they Copilot just turned on a feature that it will automatically accept based on the sender. So,
Okay.
like, your up level, they're like,
Hmm.
if you get a meeting from your manager, automatically accept it and put it on your calendar, but they don't have this option, is automatic decline, and I think is necessary because you could highlight specific people or highlight specific topics where I don't necessarily need to go to that.
Okay, so for me, I agree. I love it with parameters. I think that Copilot feature you mentioned is great. My only concern when I say with parameters with these type of tools, you want to make sure, it understands what that low value means and it understands those individuals regardless of the meeting
Mhm.
invite you should accept, like your, upper management and things like that. So I love it. I think that we should be careful to monitor and protect our focus time, but I think with parameters, you obviously want to be careful about what meetings you're declining or it's declining without understanding more context.
And it that honestly just made me think of a downside to that because once you decline the meeting, it's gone. The meeting is gone and the email is gone. And so you would almost need like a daily digest of what did you do
What did
for
you
me
pass on?
in case I,
Mhm.
need to go retract something. I don't know, that could get clunky now that you say that.
Yeah. So, like I said, for me with parameters, but I do believe in the value of protecting focus time. We're talking about focus time and going into deciding which meetings. What about sending an AI avatar of yourself to meetings? So, this is a realistic AI version of you showing up on video calls, speaking in your likeness, and making limited decisions on your behalf.
I'm gonna go a little bit I'm gonna color a little bit outside of the lines here because I say leave it, but I actually think instead of auto declining meetings, we should send the avatar. Like those two should be combined. Meetings that I don't personally want to attend, I still want some representation. Send the avatar and alert the person. Jerry cannot personally make this. Her avatar will attend and take notes. I think you need both of those together.
Okay, so let's continue down that vein. Okay, so you didn't decline my meeting, but you're sending your avatar. And so
Conditionally accepted the meeting.
conditionally? Okay, so it's not my meeting. So for me, I love the technology of this, but I'm leaning towards a leave it because for me, if you couldn't attend, I don't want your AI as the proxy. I want a human proxy or either decline.
Is that any different from sending an assistant? I can't come, but I'm gonna send my intern because I still need the takeaways, possibly.
I'm okay with the human proxy. I don't want an AI proxy. At least for me right now. If I'm conducting the meeting, I either want
You want a full decline or a
I want
full
a full
acceptance.
decline or full acceptance with a human proxy. That's just my take. I love the technology of it though, but I don't want to because if for a productive meeting, if I'm still not meeting with you and we can't accomplish what we
Yes.
need to accomplish, then we can either reschedule or we can conduct this
It depends on the
offline.
type of meeting. If you're having a working meeting and you actually need my input, I agree. I
Mhm.
can send my proxy who can't give the input. But if you don't, then I'll send the proxy.
All right, so I think we're split there. The next so this one's actually very interesting. We're talking about sending a proxy. What do you think about AI generated music artists? So artists whose songs, voice, image, and identity are largely AI generated, not tied to a traditional human performer.
I want the music, you can keep the image, right? I think if we had the music is fine. If AI can make, I've really been into instrumentals right now. So a
Mm-hmm.
lot of my music doesn't even have a voice. So I'm like, make the music all day. I don't really think we should be creating fake people. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan. So it's like you can make an artist and maybe it's you only play their music in like playlist or like podcast settings. Like I don't want videos of like AR.
You don't
I
want a
just I don't.
persona attached.
It's extra.
Okay, so
I
your issue is the adding adding a persona to
yes.
the AI and actually creating, like, the avatar for that artist. Yeah, I'm really torn here because, like you said, I mean, instrumental is one thing. I've listened to some artists, and I've actually vibed with the song, and I'm like, "Wow."
Mhm.
But my heart is torn because I'm thinking about all the actual human artists that could have benefited from having the opportunity to sing that song, you know?
I mean, but
Um
I don't think it's either or. I don't think they compete. I think that, and I guess that's what I'm saying. They don't have to compete if there's no avatar associated with the music. It's just music. That it can't go on tour. You can't go
oh,
to a
okay.
concert. The people still want to, go see Jill Scott or whoever they want who, puts on a great show. People still are going to want to do that, and I don't think AI is going to be able to compete. And then maybe it's just humans have to get better. I mean, we earlier in the day we were talking about how AI might be making people lazy, but in the regard of the music industry, maybe it's just going to make everyone have to work harder to really stand out and really be, you know, at the top.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think that it's from an instrument standpoint, it's fine. It's the deception piece. So I would agree with
Yeah.
you. It's the persona that I take issue with. A lot going on in AI this week.
So we covered several key areas this week for allowing yourself to feel like you need to jump on every single AI bandwagon and about how to stay focused and not get confused by all the options that AI is presenting to you right now. If you got a story or question or a hot take that you'd like to put on the couch, be sure to drop it in the comments below. And we'll have a link in the description for our AI Simple Action Plan that we create for every single episode. You can take all the great ideas that we have and actually put them to use. And once you get that plan, you will be invited into our AI office hours where we are building together live because you've got questions and we've got great answers. Be sure to like and subscribe for the algorithm, and we'll see you next week. I'm Jerry.
I'm Kiana, and this is the Prompt Life.